Why I keep missing this? Okay, sorry, the the mic was not on. Okay, so as I was saying, chapter 7, we are looking at follow up to newcomers to your cell group, and we're just going to replicate. Can't you? Check, check. So, Nina, I think it's something with your. Can you check if it's your headphones? Can you hear? Okay. Okay. So, I was just sharing for those who didn't hear this. We're sharing about how we do follow up to newcomers in the church, and eventually we want to replicate that into the even with the life group leaders. So when a person and comes to church, it goes into multiple teams. First, you have the welcome call. So the first call is to thank them. They come to church, just pray over them, close. Then it goes to follow up one. But follow up one happens the next Sunday, after the next Sunday. Right? So they say, hey, so were you able to come to church? I say, yes. Okay, great. We have something called as life groups. We have the different places where we can serve. These are the opportunities where you can volunteer. But in the meanwhile, please get connected to a life group. And all that. Right? Then after follow up one, we do follow up two. Now, sometimes people just get connected to church. We leave it at follow up one, but we assign people to minister to them, care for them for at least for the next 3 or 4 months. Follow up two, if we feel that that person says, I'm not really sure what to do, I need some time, maybe we give it another week, give them another call. So what are we doing? We are not like eagles trying to prey on them and trying to say you have to come to church or you have to come to life group. What we're doing is we're giving them an opportunity to come to a place to understand that, hey, there is you're available, we are available as a church, we're available to minister to you, there is a place for you to serve, and there is a place for you to grow in this church, in this ministry. So you're welcome to come. So we're making it available to people. So that's why follow up is important. Sometimes, see, for example, we're all wired differently, no? For me, if people, if I join a church, example, and nobody calls me, it doesn't matter, because it all matters for me what is being preached, what is being taught, and how the everything's happening on stage. But there are some of them who say, hey, I want fellowship. I need people to talk to me. I need to be part of a cell group, or I want to get to know people. Right? So accordingly, we work with them. Right? So here you got people who may be interested, may not be interested. Accordingly, you work with them. But important is to let them know. That's why we have the member care team. Let them know that we are caring for you. We have you in our mind. We want to serve you. We want to build you up. Eventually, look at you as being leaders. Now, so is it not like compulsory or the church congregation join? No, it's not compulsory, but we want to see at least right now we are on 34% of APC is part of life group. So we have about 300 or 300. So that's less compared to our 1,000. So if you say 1,000, only 33% are part of life groups. So we want everyone to be part of life group. We want to start more life groups, online or in-person life groups. It's not compulsory, but it's something that it's going to benefit them. It's just that they're going to grow. They're going to have that closer fellowship with one another. So that's very important. So yeah. 2, strategic relational evangelism. Right. So even as you begin the cell group, you're ministering to a cell group, you can plan out strategic evangelism, follow up of newcomers to the church. Again, we have what we call as first time visitors, and then also first time decision makers. Now the way we relate to them should be different. Right? First time visitors, first time decision makers. again, you go through that whole process. Sometimes people are not interested to come. They'll say, I'm not, no, I may not come. So a system that we have in place, we have a portal called CHMS portal, which is a church portal. um, and you can, you have different tags for each person, right? So for example, you got, okay, prince, youth, Bible college student, single. These are different tags, right? So now first thing I know is boys, youth, singles. Right? I don't know if you're single or what, but so then you have Nina, female, married. Now, the moment I don't check it, imagine I said, Nina, there's a life group happening in, Kotanur, Prince's life group. Now, there's no connection, right? And so that's why we have something called as a database where we have these tags. So if I need, for example, I need any person's details, I just put in and I get all the details. Okay, this. Of course, it's very confidential, but it helps us to connect with people within the church, right? And it enables me to reach out to people, enables me to plan out. And with this, it's very easy. Now, I don't have to ask 10 people, can you give me his number? Can you give me her number? Can you give me, I have to check. No, everything's available on the CHMS. Data is there, pull it up, get it get it done. So follow up to newcomers is something that so what we do is we work with the member care team. The pastors work together with the member care team, and we ensure that we have a good follow up happening. So the same thing, you can replicate it in a life group. So what I tell life group leaders is, when you have somebody new, share the vision with them. You got to spend that additional time with them, right? And then eventually they will get interested. They may move out, they may not. So then you screen out people who you feel that, screen out in the sense you don't have to call them again. Right? So for example, if somebody at APC, they visited us last week and they say, hey, I'm from Hyderabad. I'm returning to Hyderabad. Imagine I call them and say, are you coming to church next week? Say, I already told you I'm from Hyderabad. Right. So we have this something called as India General, so that information goes to another place. They will still get our emails, our books, our conference details, everything, but they will not get any call from us. Everything will be via email, right? So we've made those certain things. Now, I don't know if you have it in your churches, but that's something that you can look forward to. Right? It just makes you more effective as a church, right? Then you have seed projects. A seed project is organized and funded entirely by the cell group, right? So again, a seed project could be ministering to children, ministering to orphan children or destitute homes. So as a seed project, you can join together, pull in some funds together, and do this project, right? What happens when you do these seed projects? We get to, of course, you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Two is you're getting to work together as a team, right? And three is you will see God working, right? There are things that God can speak in and through your life, even as you're involved in these seed projects, right? Then is outreaches and special events, and then involvement in Sunday celebration. So I'm sure as if you're a part of a cell group, eventually you will, be part of Sunday service also and church events. But one thing that we personally do to encourage our life group leaders is to tell them, hey, if you are there for the conferences, for the events, you can encourage others also to join. So try your best to be there, right? Encourage your life group members also to be there. So getting them involved. Now we do understand that it's not easy, right? People are working, people have other commitments, but we encourage our life group leaders. If you're there, you can encourage others in your group to join. Okay, very important. Pitfalls to avoid. What is pitfalls? Pitfall simply means things that you should not do as a life group leader or as a leader. In general, as a leader, what you should not do. First one, avoid shortcuts. Shortcuts are good, but it can get you in a mess, right? There are no shortcuts to building a successful cell group or building a successful team, building a successful ministry. No shortcuts. Everyone say no shortcuts. Because sometimes we're driving on the road, you say, oh, there's traffic here, let's take a shortcut. You take the left, it becomes a dead end there. So, God, it's a waste of time. I come back all the way, get back to the road. By then, those people who are in front of me have already crossed. What happened? Wrong turn. Or another time, you take a right turn. Oh, the traffic is, you take a right turn, you end up, there's a drainage there. You can't even go. Don't try these shortcuts. Right? Avoid shortcuts. There are no shortcuts in building a ministry, a strong ministry. Right? Now we have a lot of tools available. Use those tools, right? So we have digital content that we can put on. We have so many tools that are available. Use it, but don't resort to shortcuts. And I remember when I was in Bible college, some of my classmates, they would resort to shortcuts. What is the easiest way to get out of this situation? Assignment is given. See, now Bible college is very different. Okay, we had assignments which we had to write, right? Like sit and write assignments, and we had to submit those assignments. Right? And they had last date of assignments and all those things. Right? So they would try the shortcuts. What is the easiest way to get out of this assignment? I would tell them, why are you writing the assignment? Just go tell the teacher you don't want to do it. Simple. It's a waste of your time. Right? It's a waste of your time, right? Why do you want to try some shortcuts? He says, oh, no, I want to get good marks. What do you do with the marks? The devil is not going to see your marks and be afraid of you. But, most of them, I knew, shortcuts. What is the easiest way? If 5 a.m. is prayer, what is the easiest way to get out of the 5 a.m. prayer? Not well. Stomach pain, leg pain, headache, all okay. Each day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, will have something. So 2 days they'll get up. So what is the easiest way? Don't do that. Don't look at each other also. Don't look at the speck of wood in someone else's eye when there is a log of wood in. What I'm trying to say is, you have to take the hard way at times, right? And then to build a successful group or become a successful leader, have a successful ministry. I was just sharing in the second years today, a couple of youth that I met, they were asking me, so what is your routine? So I was just sharing briefly, and they said, so you only sleep 5-6 hours a day? I said, yes. How can you sleep 5-6 hours a day? You need to sleep. I said one thing. I said, no pain, no gain. And there has to be a sacrifice. If you're coming into a place of leadership, if you're building something in ministry, or you're doing something, there has to be a sacrifice. You cannot take shortcuts, right? So, of course, I did tell them also that when I'm 65, 70 years old, I'll sleep 8, 9, 10 hours, because my body will not be used to few hours of sleep. I'll have to get good rest. Now, I also told them that, hey, I take care of my body. Right? It's not like I sleep 6 hours only. I know, okay, Sunday after church, I rest the whole day, just rest. No work, nothing. And then I prepare for Monday class. Right? So I make sure that my body knows. But Monday to Friday, no pain, no gain. I gotta do it. Yeah.
When we are speaking about the shortcuts, even in the ministry also, but we can see people who took shortcuts and got their ministry, enlarged their ministry, and got this celebrity status. And then by seeing them, who took shortcuts, and there are people who are taking them as an inspiration,
Mm.
as a role model, the what the ways they have followed, and these people are also following that.
Yeah.
And then can we say that that ministry won't long last, or how can we?
I'll just share two examples. Okay, Paul is writing to the Corinthians. What does he say? He says, "Our works will be judged by fire." Right. So God will allow certain things to happen. Now, even when we try shortcuts and all, God will work in spite of us. Right. When we pray for healing over people, God is not going to say, "You started this ministry in shortcut. I will not give healing. I will not heal this person." He will not do that. He can use us to, we're praying over somebody, they may get healing. Now, the wrong thing to do is, because I did it the right way, he's healed. So I'm doing something right. No. We can be completely wrong and pray for somebody, and that other person can get healing. Right. So God works in spite of us. That's number one. Two, is Paul writing to the Corinthians, he's saying our works will be judged by fire. Right. So there'll come a time we will stand in God's presence. The work, so we may feel, hey, I've done so much. But when the fire tests it, it may just say, so for example, a person is doing, 30 years of ministry. God is going to test it. And then it's in the judgment seat of Christ says 5 years of ministry. This guy says, no, no, no. I did 30 years. Yeah, but only the first 5 years was counted. The next 25 years not counted. It's all burnt up. That's so we are in no place to judge that. Three, is Paul writing in the John writing in the book of Revelations. He says to Ephesus, listen, your works are good, but you've lost your first love. And it's dead. Right? So it's sad that people following, they are not getting discipled, they're not learning, they're not growing. They are held accountable. The leaders are held accountable. Right? There's only so much that we can do. Right? We can tell them, hey, this is what we should do as leaders. But if shortcut is the only way, eventually, see, God is going to judge it. Right? Uh, and there's nothing we can do if it's done by through shortcuts. There's not going to be any much lasting fruit. Right? So avoid competitiveness. It's a work of the flesh. Right? In church, in life groups, avoid competition. Yes, he started a church. Now I'm going to start and make one better than his. He has projector. I have LED screen. Right? How many people are sitting? 50 people. Then problem is the funds have come. Where all the funds are going? LED screen. Avoid competition is the work of the flesh. Ministry, what ministry God has given you, what ministry God has given another person, it may be different. God may give 5,000 people in the other ministry, and for you 500. How many years? 10 years, 10 years. 5,500. Now, doesn't mean you're more successful because you're 5,000. No, God has his ways, right? So avoid competitiveness. Three, avoid careless appointing of leadership within the cell group, within church. Avoid wrong motives for promotion. Don't compromise on leadership appointments. Very important. Avoid careless appointment of leadership. If you see, now I'm not saying that it's only happening here. I'm sure many other places as well. But if you see our team, all of us are at least more than 12, 13 years, at least more than 10 years, worked very closely with the church. Right? All of us. So when we appoint leaders, we don't just appoint leaders just like that, because there are certain criteria I shared last time, right? They should be 1 year in the church, they should be serving, they should have a good idea of the culture of the church, the values that we have as APC, because whatever they do, they are speaking it into the lives of people who are coming for that life group. So avoid careless appointing of leaders. Very important. Just because somebody can play an instrument, don't make him a leader. Right? Just because somebody can speak well, don't make them a leader. Right? You check heart motives. What is the motive? Why does he want to do what he's doing? Right? And when you check heart motives, you get to understand why this person is doing this. And so that's why when it comes to leadership, appointing leaders, be very careful, right? Especially if it's your own churches, you come into a place of leadership. Don't just appoint someone because they're your friends, because you know them for 10 years. Don't do that mistake. Appoint the right leaders. It's not about our friends or people we know. Are they competent to do what they have to do? Right now, I may know many people who are in ministry. Right, I know many people who are serving in ministry. They're very close friends of mine. But if they're not good enough, I can't say you become life group leader. Hey, you're my friend, you become life group leader. He'll say yes. But what's happening? I've made a wrong decision. He doesn't have the competencies to be a life group leader, and he's not aligning himself to the values, the vision, the mission, the culture of the church. And people are coming into the church, it's going to be a problem. Right? Choose the right leaders. Don't let the cell group meetings become a mini service that we talked about it. Watch out for people pursuing personal agendas, breaking off into an independent church, taking cell members along, promoting pet doctrines. This is one of the problems you all shared, right? They come into church, they become life group leader. After 6 months, it becomes new international ministries, their own church. Now, watch out for them. That's where the spirit of discernment comes in. Ask God, give me that discernment. Help me to see. The spirit of discernment allows us to see into people. Why is he doing what they're doing? Right? So watch out for those people. I remember this one time, many years back. I went to attend a life group, and it was a family life group. So I saw this very famous person who was there in the life group, right? He was close friends with the life group leader. And I just went, I sat there, and is very famous evangelist, right? So we finished the worship, everything, and we were getting into the word. This he suddenly started speaking. He started sharing about what all happened, where he traveled. Started sharing in between testimony, one small sermon about the healings that happened, all that. Now, those days I would get irritated, upset very fast. Right? So I was sitting there. And I said, let's go to the discussion. And he's going on talking. I just told myself, keep quiet, don't say anything. So after the whole thing, I called the life group leader and I said, see, not acceptable. Whoever it is, whether he's a healing evangelist, deliverance evangelist, prophet, prophetess, if they're coming to the life group, they have to sit and listen. You are the leader of the life group. You should have said, let's go to the questions, start discussing the questions. So much so that I told him, you take a break for some time. Right? Because it was not acceptable. The life group leaders training, it was very clearly mentioned that we have to only discuss Sunday sermons. He felt bad, he felt offended, but I said, it's good. You take a break, I'll come be here, lead this life group for about 3-4 months, and then you lead it. He was upset with me, said, what, you're a small boy telling me what to do. But I had to do it for the benefit of the life group members, for the benefit of the church. Later, I got to know that he went about taking 2-3 people from the life group and he started his own church. Now, nothing against it. But if I had not intervened, it would have gone somewhere else. It would have become worse than what. Right? So there are times when you have to watch out for people with personal agendas. Visiting speakers. Now, one of the things we avoid in APC is visiting speakers. Not only in cell group means never. I want only the life group leader should speak. Church, very few. Right? Have you noticed in your 3 years here in APC, how many times were there visiting speakers? Conferences. Yeah, but not conference, Sunday services. Once in 3 years. Apart from that, anyone else? Yeah, that's how it is. Who was that one person? Oh, Pastor Stubbs. Pastor Stubbs. Okay. So that's well known, like well known people. Why is it? Okay, maybe. So they are people who we know very well, right? This is personal, but very rare. In 3 years, two people. And the reason is because we want to develop people from within our church itself, right? It's not like we're against people from outside churches. We want to gain from them also. We want to receive from them, but we want to see our people grow. Right? We want to see our leaders inside our church grow up to become good leaders, right? So visiting speakers, not we try and avoid it. There are times right now, people have asked me, and I say no, especially for cell group. Right? I say no, try and avoid it. But in your settings, if it's something that works, here's what you can do. If Anand is sharing in the life group, I'll go. Don't say on the call, don't do this. You go meet him, tell him this is what life group is, this is what it is. These are the things that we believe in. These are things this is our values. Share a little brief. Give him directions. I'll say, Anand, 30 minutes is discussions. Right? Don't have 1 hour discussion. In that, half an hour is your testimony. Nobody wants to know your testimony, right? So because people like to share testimony, first thing, no testimony, right? It's about the word. Testimony is good, but it's the word that changes people. So I would share with him and say, okay, you're leading tomorrow. You follow this. If he follows it, maybe the next time he'll get another opportunity. If he doesn't, he will never get it. Right? Now, within the church, our leaders, we can make mistakes because we're raising up leaders, we're training them, we're teaching them. Right? And I've made plenty of mistakes. But you learn from those mistakes and you grow. Right? Yeah. Then you have independent ministries. Oh, this is another problem. Now you have independent churches, independent ministries saying, can I come and be part of your life group? Best thing to say is no. No. You know why? I know over here it says, you can give them opportunity. People give opportunities and all. First thing you say is no. Why? The problem is we don't like to say no. And I learned very young in ministry, say no. Otherwise, you say yes, it'll become a problem. Then later saying no is a big headache. It's very difficult. Very difficult to say no. So when people ask me sometimes, even now, when I say no, it's no. Over. I don't feel, and sometimes I'll have to explain it. Sometimes I don't have to explain. Why? Because for me, the church, life groups, whatever I am leading, that is more important. Right? And I must be able to raise up other leaders within each of these groups. So if I feel that something is damaging the group or damaging the team, I'm going to say no. Right? So careful with these independent ministries who suddenly turn up at your door. If they come suddenly, tell them, see, this is what we follow. I'd encourage you to be part of your life group. Okay? Then personal prophecies and seducing spirits. Do not allow cell members to give each other personal prophecies in private. Words of prophecy must be tested by mature people. Right? Now, listen. Initially, we started, right? Cell groups is a place where we can, begin to flow in the gifts of the Spirit. Now, here it's saying don't allow anyone to give personal prophecies. Let me explain the difference. Now, if I have a life, so this is a life group, right? We all encourage each other. Hey, why don't you? We pray. If you get a prophetic word, just release it. Word of knowledge, release it. Now, that's good. Open setting. Now, if I go personally to maybe Francis and I say, Francis, I'm praying for him, and immediately I get some prophetic word, and I say, Francis, this is what God is telling me to tell you, and I, just without any, backing, without any word, nothing, just give some prophetic word, right? And there's no, the prophecy must build the person up, must cheer the person up. But if there is no direction, or and if I start giving dates and time, this time you should do this date, no, we avoid that, right? Now, why is this important is because I know of many people who have taken these personal prophecies extremely seriously. I can share many examples where people have quit their jobs because God told, the people have prophesied, not an APC but outside. People have prophesied saying, God is giving you a job outside of this country, right? And this person has worked, saved up money, and started applying for jobs outside of the country. Soon enough, his visa didn't get through. There are no openings in the other country. He tried to apply for some jobs here in the same place that he isn't. He didn't get it. No job, loans, stuck in debt. Why? One person said, God is going to give you a job abroad. Very random prophecies. Right? Now, I'm not saying those prophecies won't come. Every time's okay. But we must also give them direction. Okay? This is what I feel. God is opening a door for you in another country. In the meanwhile, be faithful where you are. Work. Ask God for direction. The Spirit of the Lord will lead you, will guide you. Right? You give them some verses, encourage them. Say, hey, the book of Galatians says, those who are led by the Spirit, those who are the sons of God are led by the Spirit of God. So you pray. Don't wait for the next prophet to come. You pray. Ask God to speak to you. What are you doing? You're sharing the prophecy. You're also giving them the wisdom to make the right decision. Okay? Don't force newcomers to become members of your cell. Give them ample time. In other words, don't sit on their head. Please come. Please come to church. Please come to life group. Please come. No. Give them time to make their decision. Okay? Do not forfeit your leadership of your cell. If a new member joins your cell and he or she is spiritually much more mature than you, here are a few things you should do. Do not be intimidated. So, for example, this is a cell group. Okay? Francis is the cell group leader. Now, suddenly one Sunday I come and sit. Now, Francis should not be intimidated. Oh, pastors come and sat off. No. You, Francis, as a life group leader, should not be intimidated. Say, this is what I prepare. This is what I plan to do. This is what I will do in the life. We will go through the same order, the questions, discuss the questions, pray for each other, close. Don't be intimidated. Don't give up your leadership just because somebody comes. Somebody maybe 20 years in ministry and you're just 2 years in ministry. That's okay. Learn to be comfortable in the position that you are in. Right? Because it's not about the titles. In fact, I always say if a person is 20 years in ministry, he should be mature enough to keep quiet and sit and listen. Yes or no? Yeah. Not saying I want to talk. For me, CLC was such a joy because every time we are on stage, preaching, teaching, worship, something, and when we sit on the other side, it's such a joy to sit and receive. I don't want the stage. I don't mind coming, sitting, listening. But that's what we do other places. So don't forfeit your leadership. by getting intimidated by what's around. Do not relinquish your leadership. Consider this situation. An older person has come, and this would be also this would be a good, sorry, let's see. Consider the situation as a good opportunity for you to grow up as a leader as you minister to someone older to you. Also, this will be a good opportunity for that person to walk in humility and Christ likeness. I was 24 when I started leading. Now, it was not easy. All of a sudden, people calling you pastor. It was weird. And you feel like, oh my God, just a young boy. I don't know much. But just because of that, I didn't, there were times I was praying for people who are, very matured in Christ, people who are elderly people, elderly folks. But I realized that, hey, this is what God's called me to do. I did share a couple of times, I used to feel, no, go to someone else for prayer. One day God really spoke to me. I'm sending them to you. Either you pray or they will never, I'll never send anyone to you. Right? So I would choose if, normal people come, I'll pray and send them off. But all these intellectual, wise people come, I won't pray for them. Won't pray meaning I'll just try to slip off. And then God very clearly said, if this is what I'm sending them, you do what you have to do. Don't worry about the other things. So it is a shell that we will have to come out of. Right? Do not hand over the teaching of the word to a new member. The teaching of the word should be somebody. Now, I understand, sometimes a cell group leader may be traveling. You can assign somebody else to share, but make sure that person is at least 1 year in the life group. You give them directions, right? Even now, sometimes we get directions. All of us, as a pastoral team, we get directions. He says, do this, do this, do this. Okay, done. There's this level of trust. There's this level of understanding that we have. But we get directions. So it's important, right, that we follow those directions. Maintain a balance between outward journey and inward care. Meaning, don't be too focused only on outward, ministry and outward evangelism, but also focus on inward care. Or don't be only inward looking, but also look at outward work. Right? So you maintain a balance. Then don't allow your family relationships to suffer since you're opening this your home as a place of ministry. The enemy may attack you at that very point. Don't continue blindly in pursuit of spiritual goals while neglecting your family relationships. Very, very important. Don't say ministry is greater than family. Never say that. I will do ministry, God will look after the family. God will say, no. Your children, you look after. I'm there. Your responsibility to look after. Right? Don't say that. I don't know. I've heard people saying that. I'll do ministry, pastor. God will look after the rest. No, no. There's a way to put that. You can't say that. You and I are responsible. Now, see, we are all young. After we get married, don't say, I'll do ministry, God will provide. If you feel that you don't have funds to pay rent and to look after your family, go get a job, work, pay for your family, and then do ministry. Okay? I may be a little stern, but it's true. No, but God's called me to ministry. That's okay. Paul writes and he says, if you can't look after your own family, how can you look after the house of God? And the thing, this whole mindset of, yes, God will provide, but God is also putting responsibility over us. It's good to be responsible. And it's good to be a responsible person in your family. And I think, as growing up, very young, I had 2 children. It's very difficult for me. We're all traveling, enjoying. And it was very difficult. I said, God, what is this? Kids, responsibilities, look up, they get fever, they get cold, so many things. And then you got the ministry. I was just trying to, still grow in the ministry. I had to, look after many areas at work, trying to balance them. Sometimes I would just burn out. And I look back and I think, man, it's only the grace of God, nothing else. Somehow, now when I look back, I say, God, those times, if you've taken me through those times, I'll be able to go through any season now. Right? So you and I are to maintain a family first. Family is important. Okay? If you feel that there's something that is affecting your family, stop what you're doing. Stop. Take a break. Nothing wrong. Right? 2 children, we decided one of them should take a break. Right? It's too much. Have to. Children are growing. We have to pay attention to them. No. Ministry is more important. Ministry is important. But they are even more important. Okay? So we need to learn how to make sure that we are looking after the family well. Don't become a programming cell. Understand the difference between programming cell groups and spiritual community. That means routines are there. Yes, you can have routines. But if you feel that you want to make a little bit of a change here and there, go ahead and do it. Right? It's important. Then look at the administrative side of cell groups. Next page. Each cell leader will report directly to the associate cell leader. Now, we don't have an associate cell pastor. We just have a life group coordinator. And so it works this way. You have the senior pastor, associate pastor, life group coordinator, and life group leaders. So look at it that way, right? So senior pastor, associate pastors. Under the associate pastors, you have life group coordinator. Then you have life group members, right? So right now what happens is the cell group, the life groups report to me. And I take that report and I send monthly reports to the senior pastor. So that way, everyone know what is happening, not only to the senior pastor, but our pastoral team. Right? So all of us know, right? So it's not only life groups. So other team members, right? So for example, Catalyst or women's ministry, member care team, all of them send report to the pastoral team. So we are aware of what's happening. It's not like I don't know what is happening there, or it's not like they don't know what's happening in life groups. Everyone are aware, right? So administrative side of things, each cell group leader, they report to us. We take those reports, share it with our senior pastor. Now, your cell pastor will be in touch with you on a weekly basis. So I wouldn't say cell pastor. So right now I'm the life group coordinator. I coordinate all the life groups across Bangalore. So what I do is I call each and every life group leader. I talk to them. Right? If not once a week, at least once in 2 weeks. I talk to them. I call them. I find out how everything's happening. Next Sunday, we have our life group leaders quarterly meet at church. So I keep meeting the leaders. Now, I may not know in detail what's happening in their life groups, right? Who is there in their life groups. I do have a list of them. I may not know every one of them, but I know the leaders on a personal level. Right? So I speak to them, I meet with them, I talk to them. So that is always there. I work closely with the life group leaders. Right? And the life group leaders also work closely with me. Right? So there's something that's happening in the cell group. They need some help. They always call and connect with me. Again, here the cell group can ask for cell lessons and resources. That's why we made it available on our sermon notes. So now they don't have to, because initially they used to keep asking, can you share the notes here? So they thought, okay, well, let's just put it here. And everyone can look at the material and follow that material. So all this happened over time. It didn't happen just overnight. If you need any additional help in counseling a cell member, you can contact the life group coordinator. If there are feedback, we are always open to feedback. Feedback enables us to improve, right? I think end of each semester you get a paper and then you write the feedback of your lecturers. No, do you have that now? Do you have it now? Okay, okay, you can write your heart out there, right? Then uh, do a self health assessment once in 3 months. So that's a good time frame, right? So you have a cell group once in 3 months. Just do like a review and see, okay, how are we doing? Are we growing in the things of God? Are we growing in numbers? Are we able to minister to each other? Are we building relationships? Just do an assessment, right? If there are things that work, continue. If there are things that didn't work, see how you can improve it and see what changes you can make, right? And have these feedback forms with you as in case you want to improve, in case you want to share it with other groups, have it available with you. Right? So some of the things that I do is whatever feedback we receive, I try to work on it and see if I can implement it with the other life groups as well. Right? Okay. So any questions before we close? Questions? All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you next week. God bless.